Hello, it's me. It's Amber. Hello. I'm playing Mario Kart. That's what we're doing today. Uh, does anybody know on the results of the bid war? Is is this right?
Yes, it is cloud for your glider, and the tire color is blue.
That's right. Perfect. All right. Well, awesome. So this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is the remake, remaster, whatever, of the Wii U version of this game. I am going to be speedrunning bonus tracks, which is the DLC in the original version of this game. They're all included on the Switch version. So rules-wise, this is a 200cc run. We're doing no items, so there's going to be very little RNG. I'll point out any RNG moments in the run, but for the most part, this is just, if I mess up, it's my fault. So one important thing to know is that I'm holding down R before I actually start the run. This is an RNG manipulation for Animal Crossing, so that Animal Crossing will be a specific season. And time starts when I hit OK. So I'm going to count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Welcome. Okay, we're doing this. So this is a versus race speedrun. This is not in Grand Prix, and because it's a versus race, we start in 12th place. Because we start in 12th place, we start with 5 coins. Coins increase your top speed, and it's important that we try to get up to 10 as fast as possible. Great start, great start. Okay, so coins are going to be a little tougher. The first thing that I'm going to do is jump over this waterfall because it's faster, and now we're in first place even though we started in 12th. So coins increase your top speed. Here's another little skip, and we're grabbing our first coin. We only need to grab 5 on this track. For the most part, this run is going to be just grabbing coins and then not grabbing coins anymore after that. And the way that I move around the track is going to be different in different laps. The coin route in Yoshi's Circuit is very different from a normal coin route, though, because of the way that all of these lines work. We're going to be taking really tight turns a lot of the time and cutting grass a lot of the time, doing things like that and like this. And one important thing that you should know is that you can keep your drift if not all of your tires are off-road. Not always. It depends on the off-road, depends on the angles that you're hitting the track on, but you get a little bit of leeway. Yeah. Something else that's interesting, that's new in the Switch version of this game is a lot of stats were rebalanced and drifting became the best stat in the game. There is a third tier of drift, the Ultra Mini Turbo, that I'm not doing. In this track, you just see Mini Turbos and Super Mini Turbos, which are blue and orange. There's also Ultras, which are pink. And in Deluxe, having a higher Mini Turbo stat will make you charge up to the next tier of drift faster. It'll make that boost last for a longer amount of time, and the boost itself will be a larger speed increase. So having a really high Mini Turbo stat's really important, and that is kind of why we have this build. So I know a lot of people like character choice bid wars for Mario Kart. The only options for a character choice bid war for Mario Kart are Roy, Donkey Kong, and Waluigi. And while sure, we could do a character choice bid war, I personally find Donkey Kong and Waluigi to have really annoying animations compared to Roy. I don't know, I'm just not a fan. But Roy, DK, and Waluigi all have really high speed. They have really high top speed. And a character will influence your top speed more than a kart piece will. So we're going to take all of the speed for this build from the character, and then all of our Mini Turbo stat from having the Biddy Buggy and the roller tires and a glider that increases our acceleration. There's a couple of different gliders that all do it, which is why we had the option of Cloud or a paper airplane, and Cloud won. I suppose one other thing to mention, I said I'd point out RNG. All of these ramps on Excitebike are RNG. There's a bunch of different modules, like this right, left, right, with the big ramp after, and then this small and big one with the extended platform. They're all like little chunks, and the order that you get those chunks is different every time. We got a pretty decent pattern. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary here. And this is kind of a boring track that I was able to talk through. But the next track, Dragon Driftway, this is one of my favorite tracks in the game. Not my favorite. My favorite track's coming up later. This is the first track that has a different coin route in lap 1 versus laps 2 and 3. I'm going to be taking turns really wide in the first lap to pick up 10 coins, and then, okay, and then I'm going to be taking tighter turns in the next 2 laps. So this is the first one, and unfortunately the computer's kind of messed me up. So we'll have to get those in lap 2, but that's no big deal. That's a little shortcut, so that was kind of cool. The way that one works is the track actually angles upwards, and you're able to use that ramp to jump in the air, and it skips a hairpin turn, which is nice. Unfortunately, my coin route didn't work the way I wanted it to, so I'm gonna try again in lap 2. Just grabbing those 3, and in lap 3, you'll see I take a much tighter turn there. Oh. Stay alive. We're okay. Everything is fine. I messed up a skip, and I hit an off-road section. That is a place where I would have normally reset if that happens, but this is a marathon, and I can't do that. So, like I mentioned in lap 2 and in lap 1, the coin route is different here, and we're taking a tighter turn. And this is something that happens on a bunch of tracks where we'll take a route that picks up a bunch of coins, and then after we have those coins, we don't need to take that line anymore, so we can take straighter paths or tighter turns that will be more optimal in the future. But because having coins increases your top speed, it's important to get up to 10 really quickly. And this is Dragon Driftway. This is the end of this track. Very fun. Really upset that I messed up one of those skips. Yeah. This is not the track that I would clap for, though. I would clap for the next track, Mute City. Mute City, actually, small claim to fame, I am the person who developed the RTA strat for the trick you're about to see, and that trick is called touchless. And it's called that because we don't touch a thing. Specifically, we don't touch a ramp at the end of the track, and this is going to be one of the first no-item shortcuts in this game. So I am going to be taking the shortcut on this track that normally requires a mushroom, but I'm not going to be doing it with a mushroom because this is a no-item speedrun. And we don't have mushrooms to speed us up. We also don't have blue shells and lightning to slow us down, though. That's touchless. You can clap. All right, and I'm going to do that 2 more times. It looks a lot harder than it actually is. It takes a while to learn the spot that you're supposed to jump from. The best advice I can give for people who want to try to pull this off is you want to be to the right side of the ramp when you jump, and you can just do that. And then you hold down on this section in the air. And the reason why you hold down, the only reason why this trick is possible is because Mute City, like Big Blue, they're F-Zero tracks, and on F-Zero tracks you have lighter gravity for some reason. Not on Rainbow Road for the new game, because the new Rainbow Road is also in space, but you have normal Earth gravity, which does not make sense. And that was 3 touchlesses, so that's really good. And that's Mute City. So that's Egg Cup. That's the first cup of this speedrun. Egg Cup's world record is a 6:59. Including loading times by Doodle96. He is one of the best runners in this game. I have the record for single segment for bonus tracks as a whole, and for a while I had the record for Triforce Cup, which is what we're entering right now. So this is Wario's Gold Mine. This is kind of the first boring track. Excite Bike Arena is kind of boring too, but at least there's like RNG that you have to adapt to. This track has a really easy coin route, and unfortunately the coins are on the path that you already take, so you're not even doing anything different in laps 2 and 3. You're just taking the absolute most optimal line all the way around the track 3 times. So because of that, this would be a great time if we have any donations to read.
There are no new donations. However, I will remind you that our next goal to close will be the Super Monkey Ball debug showcase that is currently sitting at 0 out of $50, but we have until the end of the Super Monkey Ball run to get that met. However, closing at the beginning of the Super Monkey Ball run will be the Monkey Bid War. No donations for that yet either. So take your pick of Ai, Baby, Gon Gon, and Mimi. $1 can get you your favorite monkey.
I say vote Baby. No. Gon blocks so much of the screen. Like, I want to be able to see the track that I'm watching Helix destroy. That's why you pick Baby, so that you can actually see through the ball, right? That's optimal, right? Yeah. Fun. Sorry, I'm not really talking about this track because there's not a lot to talk about for Wario's Goldmine. This is a fairly boring track. I guess one thing that is kind of interesting to mention is just like the one interesting thing that most tracks in Triforce Cup share is that they have a lot of straightaways. And if you're not touching your control stick, or if your control stick is held in one position, you actually get a little bit of a speed boost. So on this track, the track we just saw, and the next track, there's a lot of time where I'm just not touching the control stick to go faster. And that is interesting in that it makes it so that Roy is not the fastest character in Triforce Cup. He's the fastest character if you do like a general spread of all of the tracks. But for Triforce Cup, for Wario's Goldmine, Rainbow Road, Ice Ice Outpost, Hyrule Castle, you actually want to go one weight class farther up for even more speed and less turning, just because it's faster. You can take all of these turns better with Dry Bowser or with Wario than you can with Roy or Waluigi. This Rainbow Road is kind of considered the hardest Rainbow Road, I think. It doesn't have any railings on it, and these thwomps have terrible, disgusting hitboxes. But for the speedrun, this track is generally the same every single time. It's very cycle-driven, so all of these thwomps hit the ground at the exact same time on the track every single time. So you always kind of know what to expect. And the cycle that we can hit, if I can get a trick right here, that means this was a good run. Hey, it was a good run. Awesome. So moving on from Rainbow Road, we have Ice Ice Outpost. Ice Ice Outpost is also a pretty easy track. I'm going to point out a place where you could do a shortcut, and then after I point out that place, I'm going to tell you how much time it saves, and you're going to know why I don't go for it. So, after these first two turns, you can start a drift as soon as these coins are gone, and you can hit that ramp that I'm not hitting. And if you hit that ramp at 200cc, you don't hit the next ramp, and you just kind of fly over it and you land on the track ahead of it. But because you don't hit that trick, you actually go a fair bit slower, and so doing that trick 3 times in a row flawlessly saves 1/10 of a second over doing it normally. I don't like those odds. Another thing that you might have seen me do in a couple other tracks is I'm releasing my drift immediately before tricking off of a couple of different platforms. And that is just to add the boost speed to the drift speed and just get a larger speed boost. It works that way. Not a whole lot to talk about for lap 3 of this track. It's essentially the same thing as the first 2 laps. I will say, like, hitting these anti-grav section, like the anti-grav spinners, they give you a speed boost, but the animation of you like spinning around before you get the boost is you're set at a static speed, and it's slower to get hit when you're in anti-grav than not. It's always slow to get hit, but the thing that makes it look like you get a speed boost is actually still slower, so just don't get hit. Here's Hyrule Circuit. This track is the bane of my existence. It has, in my opinion, the hardest skip in the game, and I am going to be going for it all 3 laps. In lap 3, it is significantly harder than in laps 1 and 2. So the most important thing before the skip is just coin collection. I need to get as many coins as I can because I want to have the best chance at a specific thing happening in the 3rd lap. So we got 10 coins as fast as possible, and then we hit a tree, and that was slow. Unfortunately, that tree exists, and because it exists, it makes our life miserable. However, I'm going to try to not hit the tree again. The thing that I was talking about in lap 3 that I unfortunately have no chance of making anymore is there is a Deku Bava that will pop up this track's version of a piranha plant right at that little hedge or that little shrub that I flew over. And in lap 3 it exists. And if you go really, really, really fast in laps 1 and 2, it won't exist in lap 3. Because it's part of a global cycle, like almost every track in this game is part of a global cycle. And so you can technically beat when it's supposed to come out. And yeah, also hitting that ramp is slower than just going normally, as with most ramps. That's why lap 3 sucks, but he didn't bite at me, so we're okay. And that was Hyrule Circuit. Sweet. Yeah, so that was Triforce Cup. Now we're moving on to Crossing Cup. I do have record in this one. Crossing Cup has my least favorite tracks and my favorite tracks. This is Baby Park. This is either your least favorite track or your favorite track. And one interesting thing about this in Mario Kart 8 is, oh, well, I messed it up. I was gonna say it's really cool that you can like drive over the grass, but twice in a row, you can drive over the grass. It's really cool. The computers can hit you with the anti-grav, and if that happens, you have to time when you release your drift perfectly, or else you don't get a boost, which is frustrating. This track is just grass cut after grass cut after grass cut, and unfortunately we missed the first 2, but it's okay. I'm just now realizing that I forgot to tweet out this run. Whoops. Yeah.
Worth, we tweeted it out for you.
Oh, thanks. Sweet. So after Baby Park is Cheeseland. Cheeseland was originally on the Game Boy. This version is nothing like the Game Boy version. This track has 2 shortcuts in it. Both of them are no-item shortcuts that are meant to be done with mushrooms. And one of them is a lot cooler than the other, but we're gonna do the not as cool one first because it's just fast. I don't know, that one's kind of boring compared to what we do in the second half of the track. This track is often regarded by newer players as the hardest track in the game. It's the hardest track in the game to learn, absolutely. Here's the other shortcut. That is not supposed to be possible. You're supposed to get slowed down. The off-road is supposed to eat all of your momentum. But what we do is we jump off of the on-road section while we're still in a drift boost, and then the drift boost runs out while we're in mid-air, and the little skirt slidey noise, the little skirt slide that you do after landing propels you enough that you can do a second jump to land. So let's do this again, and you can kind of see it in action. And I messed it up, of course. Well, we've got one more lap to try it again. There's a couple like small things that I could be pointing out from here and there. Just like I take this specific line here that, and I do a strat that Panda taught me. Panda is the world record holder on this track, this time trial. So let's try this again. There you go. You can kind of see that in action. The slide, keeping all of your speed. So that skip is tough. Anyways, Cheeseland is a nightmare. I'm really glad that I didn't make too big of a fool of myself on that track. Now we're going to my favorite track in the game. I mentioned Dragon Driftway was one of my favorites. Wild Woods is my favorite track in the game. It has my favorite bit of music in the game. I think that the level design, just like world building of this track is really cool too. It's a giant tree slash like living quarters for Shy Guys and Toads, and I think it's really cute. Also, the music is in 5/4. We're at VGM Con, so I think that highlighting the non-traditional time signature. Wildwoods has a couple of cool bits of tech to it. You release that drift in midair, and then this is the hardest no-item shortcut in the game, according to Jacob, but he's wrong. And I bonked, so maybe he's right. That little mini turbo trick is new tech from me. yeah, I don't know. This track's really cool. I'm having fun playing one of my favorite games. And yeah, Jacob was wrong. That trick's easy.
It's just as fun to watch as it is for you to play.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I did a little barrel cut there. It's not safe. That's not safe. And yeah, that wasn't too bad. That one was close, but we got it. Doing that trick and hitting the off-road section basically ties it with the optimal non-shortcut version, but if you do it without losing any momentum like I did in lap 2, you save about 1/3 of a second. And this is Animal Crossing. This is why I held down R at the beginning of the run. This forces it to be the summer season. Each trigger button and shoulder button corresponds to a different season, and you can access that specific season in Versus Race if you hold down the button during track select. And this is why we use summer, is because that ramp exists. That ramp doesn't exist in any other season. And we can have a super mini turbo and then trick off of that ramp afterwards, and it sets us up with a really, really good line around the U-turn afterwards. A lot of people run on Fall because Fall for a long time has been considered the fastest 200cc season. But this summer strat has worked in 150 for a really long time. That's why you don't do it in 200. The summer strat has been working in 150 for a really long time, and just recently has it started being adopted in 200cc. So it's really cool that we're getting cool new tech. And yeah, so I'm going to attempt that strat again, and hopefully I don't hit the other ramp. There we go. And that just sets you up with a really nice drift. You hold like hard right the entire time and it works. Or hard left. And that is Animal Crossing, and we're on to the final 4, the 4 hardest tracks in this run. And they're only the hardest tracks because they're at the end. This is just where nerves come into play if you're like actually on like a PB, is like you have Neo Bowser City, which has really slick roads because it's raining. You have Ribbon Road, which is just really tough. Super Bell Subway, which has bad hitboxes. And Big Blue, which has a make or break skip. So unfortunately another burnout, but it's not a huge deal. It's always really easy to get into first place. I will say the coins on this track are going to be pretty bad, probably, unless I can actually get all 4 of these. Wow. Okay. Sometimes you surprise yourself, you know? This track, it kind of looks like any other track, but the road is super slick, and I have significantly reduced traction on any part of this track that doesn't have a roof over its head. And yeah, it becomes a lot more difficult to maneuver because of that. Just like the traction of the track changing on a whim is really the frustrating part. Just like, it's not that it changes on a whim, it changes at very specific places, but through drifts a lot of the time you'll have to be drifting on 2 different types of road, basically. It's very, very difficult. Not much to talk about in lap 3. This track is very simple. It's just really hard. It's all the same. It's all really simple drifts, and you're doing the same thing all 3 laps. It's just like the timing of everything. The track is very hard to do without falling off. And now we have Ribbon Road. Ribbon Road features 2 shortcuts. They are not no-item shortcuts because they are intended shortcuts regardless, but they are not intended for 200cc. In case you forgot, this game was not made with 200cc originally. It was added as DLC in the Wii U version, and so a lot of these tracks were just not designed to go this fast. And the shortcuts on this track are the things that were not designed for this kind of speed. And I'm going to be going for both of them. Generally, you can only do one of them in 200, There are currently 2 people who go for these RTA. One of them is me. And here is the other shortcut. I'm gonna keep going for it. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I want to. I'm not gonna... No, I'm doing the hard strats. I guess it's also important to mention, if Lakitu picks you up, you lose anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, depending on what part of the track you were on, if you were drifting, like what kind of lines you were taking. Generally, it's about 3 seconds, though. And that was 2. One more. A lot of the time, I know I mentioned coins a ton at the beginning of the track, at the beginning of the race, the marathon run. A lot of the time on these like later tracks, we just have like a set like list of 8 coins basically that we try to hit. Okay, slow, but I still hit it. So good little improv there. Nice little. I have no idea how I didn't fall off there. But it happened. Now we have 2 tracks left, Super Bell Subway and Big Blue. Super Bell Subway has 2 different patterns. One of them is guaranteed 1.5-second time loss, and the track is harder. But we got the easy version, so that's good. It's just 50-50 RNG, and it's the second to last track in the game, and it's just as miserable as it sounds. It's actually not that bad. The slower version of RNG just has the trains moving in opposite directions. So the blue train is moving with you and the red train is moving against you, as opposed to the other way around. And just the locations of the trains on the track as you pass them makes you take some really, really bad lines just because you have no option, because the good line has a train in the way. But we got the good RNG, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay. The shortcut, that off-road shortcut that I'm doing at the end of each track, I want to be able to do it in 2 hops, but a lot of the time I'll be doing it in 3. That was perfect. That was actually a picture-perfect shortcut, so... Sweet. Alright, and just one more shortcut. Hopefully it's a 2-hop. Sweet. Okay, and now we have 1 track left. Big Blue. If you've never seen a 200cc speedrun before, if you've never seen this track at 200cc before, you are in for a real treat. This is the biggest skip in the game. This is arguably the most well-known skip in the game. We are going to be skipping about 60 to 70% of the second section of this track, because Big Blue is a one-shot. It's in 3 sections instead of 3 laps. So it's all going to be fairly bog standard for the first section. It's not until you see the glider come out that things are going to start getting a little different than the usual track. We're not taking the normal route here, so hope you're ready. It keeps going. There we go. Of all of the things that I made mistakes in the first 15 tracks, I can't even begin to say how glad I am that I managed to get that. Oh my god. Yeah, that's Big Blue. We do have 1 small skip just in case you didn't have enough yet. There was that one. And time is when I crossed the finish line. So, time. 28:10. Sweet. That's a great time. World record is a 27:43 by me. So, yeah, that was really good. Sweet. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, Amber_CXC. Follow him too, Sikinar. He did Jack earlier. Thanks Midwest Speedfest for having me on. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you liked it.
Hey, thanks for coming. That was incredible.